The date is November 28th, 2012, and it is Weird Build Wednesday here on your daily dose of D&D. Welcome to Weird Build Wednesday. Today, we're doing the Pixie Charge Thief. It's a very fun build that I came up entirely with myself. I didn't see any of this online before. I'd messed around with one or two charge builds, but none of them were quite what I wanted. But the Pixie Charge Thief is one of the smoothest charge builds I've ever seen, and I really love it. It all centers around one racial feat that pixies have called Streak of Light that says when they charge, they get combat advantage. And once something has combat advantage, whole worlds open up to the damage they can deal. I made it a thief, because first of all, you don't normally think of thieves and rogues as charging. You normally think of them as standing in the back and stabbing or throwing things. But with this thief, I decided that as this little pixie, he would charge, and he would do the Streak of Light and hit people in the face and knock them over, and would not attack them when they were on the ground, because he was honorable like that. I did attack people who were on the ground because I was dishonorable like that. That's not the point. But this is a very, very fun build. I don't know exactly what books it comes out of. It comes out of a lot of different things. You definitely need the Feywild book and the Heroes of Fallen Lands, because that's where your class and race come out of. The Paragon Path is called Daring Acrobat, and that's very useful. I also picked up a theme called Storm Raider that provided a couple of very, very useful things as well. So let's dive in. First of all, on the feats, the most crucial one that you need is in fact Streak of Light, that gives you combat advantage on the charge. And then you just pile on things that support combat advantage. You get Light Blade Expertise, that, you know, gives you bonus to hit with your small weapon, because sadly all pixies can use our fairly small weapons. And then it also gives you damage, extra damage on combat advantage. You pick up Backstabber to increase your sneak attack dice. Slaying action, Surprising Charge. Surprising Charge is a good one, because it gives you a weapon worth of damage on it. And that works with crits as well, so that helps. And then that's really it for the, fair essential feats, at least as far as I found. If you know of any feats that work for rogues that would help this better, please leave them down in the comments below. But because he's a pixie, he gets a bonus to charisma as well, and that gives him some other options. Not as much for his feats. I gave him Duelist Paunch, which allows him to use his charisma modifier as a feat bonus to acrobatics and athletics, and so that gives him like a +5 to something that he's already trained in, and that's pretty sweet. I also picked up Risky Shift, which is just sometimes very useful. It allows you to increase your shift by 1, but you grant combat advantage to people. For powers, thieves have, one of the coolest powers, Backstab, that when they have combat advantage, so when the pixie charges, he can get a +3, well, +5 because he has combat advantage, +6 because he's charging, so he gets +6 to his default numbers when he charges with a Backstab. That's pretty fun, and it also adds extra damage dice, and I've got all the damage broken up down here as well. So for powers, probably the most useful power that the thief has available is called the most useful power that a thief can pick up. The most useful trick a thief can pick up is the Escape Artist trick that allows him to shift 2 squares away, and then at the end of his turn shift another 2. What this allows him to do is it allows him to get way up close in somebody's face, then back away far enough for a charge, and then charge. And that's pretty fun. For items, because I'm just going to jump straight to items, there's a lot of things that boost the charge, but there's a couple of things that are pretty essential to what's going on. The first thing, for my version of the pixie, because he has such a high charisma, I gave him the Footpad's Friend, which allows him to add his charisma modifier onto his sneak attack damage. So my sneak attack numbers are 3d8 +5 instead of just 3d8. So that adds, an almost max to d6, and I think that's, better number investment than all of these weapons that give you, a single d6 extra damage when you charge. For armor, there's a lot of armor that gives you an AC bonus when you charge, like the Marauder's armor. When you charge, it gives you +2 to your defenses, so that's pretty cool. For your neck piece, you need the Badge of the Berserker, because it makes something really cool about Pixies work beautifully. Pixies are a tiny creature, and with the rules of movement, where you can move freely through squares of a creature that's 2 sizes larger than you, for medium it makes it very, very useful. For medium creature, you would have to be going up against a colossal creature, I think is the 3x3 one. Pretty much it's so big, it's not going to notice you scurrying about. But for a tiny creature, he can go through medium-sized squares, or creatures' squares, without having to worry about them being there. So this Pixie gets to like fly through people's armor and stuff as it charges to its actual target. Badge of Berserker keeps you from being attacked when you do that. You also need a horned helm, because it gives you 2d6 extra damage on a charge, and that's nothing to sneer at. Something else that's also useful are the Boots of Adept Charging, that when your charge ends, you get to shift 1 square. The Storm Raider feature gives you a pretty sweet power to start with, where as a free action, you can push somebody that you've hit with a melee attack, and that's pretty sweet. And if you crit when you've pushed them, you can knock people prone. Another, at level 5, the Storm Raider theme allows you to re-roll 1s, pretty much gives your attack brutal for all the dice that you would roll. Paragon Path is called Daring Acrobat, and the main thing about it is its level 16 feature, that when you charge, you can take further actions instead of just ending your turn. And that's pretty awesome. It also gives you a bunch of benefits to your AC and reflex, you get extra move actions, and, you know, a very, very fun attack power that allows you to deal 4 weapon damage. And, yeah, and that's when you must be charging to do that. And so it effectively adds a lot of damage to it. For your abilities, Dexterity, because thieves use that for their melee basic attacks, so you do need Dexterity. I did Charisma with this build, though you can easily get away with doing less damage by not picking Charisma as high. You do need to be trained in Acrobatics to qualify for the Paragon Path, but everything else is just being a rogue. To give you a comparison, without adding Backstab, when you, as this Pixie, use Sneak Attack against someone who's just standing right there, you do 1d6 damage plus 3d8 damage plus 21, which is, you know, fairly decent for a Sneak Attack. When you charge with a Sneak Attack, however, you deal 4d6 damage plus 3d8 plus 21. So you have a potential to add an additional 18. And when you crit with a charge, before you start adding in the questionable backstab, when you're critting with your melee basic attack and with your charge attacks, on your melee basic with sneak attack, you can deal 55 damage. And with your charge sneak attack, you can deal 69 damage. And that's before adding in backstab. That's before adding in exactly what your weapon does when you get a critical hit. So that's the Charging Pixie. It's a fun build. I've actually played him before, not at level 16, at a lower level, and he was a lot of fun, because I just got to keep darting around. But that's for Tell Me Tuesday. So that's your weird build today. Charging Pixie. Check it out. Hopefully there will eventually be a link below. Bug me if you do not see it when you watch this video. Welcome to the DM's Corner. It's World Building Wednesday here, and we're talking today about Thieves Guilds. This question came up recently in our group about exactly what a Thieves Guild does, and it really comes down to how big the town is. If it's a large town, then the thieves need to be organized to be able to keep them from being caught, and to be able for them to maximize their profits in covering a lot of organizations, such as gambling, loans, stealing, smuggling. There's a lot of things that the Thieves Guild covers. But when you're in a smaller town, they won't necessarily have a Thieves Guild, because there's no call for it. You'll probably just have maybe 1 or 2 thieves that are in charge that have claimed this territory. So what do you do when one of your player characters comes in, to a town and starts trying to steal stuff. Well, you have to think about, if you have a thieves guild, how are they going to react? And most often it's not going to be favorable. The way we did it is we had our in our group, the character paid some money, or the characters, because there were two of them, paid some money to effectively get a day pass, that if they were going to commit any crime in the area, they would be covered under the Thieves Guild, and, you know, kind of let the Thieves Guild know that they were in the area, weren't planning anything major, and, you know, just kind of a heads-up, professional courtesy type of thing. If you want inspiration on how to do a Thieves Guild, read some books. Terry Pratchett has in his Discworld, has a pretty extensive Thieves Guild that's slightly legitimized. Stephen Bruce's Jerrig novels is some kind of a Thieves Guild, but it's more of an organized crime, which is a little bit more than a regular Thieves Guild. The Dragonlance novels also have a Thieves Guild in some of their books, though it's been a while since I've read them, so I can't tell you exactly which ones. It probably isn't going to come up often, but if you do have a thief in your party, it's important to know how the locals will react to him in particular. Closing remarks. I'm sorry this didn't come out in the morning. I didn't have as much time yesterday to film, as apparently I had computer troubles with 2 computers at once. That was slowing me down. But I tried to do this as streamlined as I could. I'm not quite sure how well I succeeded, because I have a weird piece of paper in front of my screen, making it so I can't see things like recording time. I hope to be able to fix that one time, and I'll probably have my computers off on the side and be looking at a camera with somewhere else, so that I can check things like that. If you honestly like this video, please hit the like button below. If you like getting a daily dose of D&D, hit the subscribe button somewhere above. Leave me a comment if you have any questions, concerns, or corrections to make with me. And if you think you know someone who would like to see this video, hit the share button that should be down somewhere below, or send them the link that's like way up top. My name is MadMatt1Cow, and I am glad for the chance to be able to share this daily dose of D&D with you. So you guys stay online, and I will see you next time.